I want to tell you something today. There's a new way that has been published in 2020 on how to diagnose lupus. So, two organizations are involved in setting the bar for lupus and rheumatic diseases. It's first is American College of Rheumatology and ACR, and EULAR, which is the European Alliance of Association for Rheumatology, also European League Against Rheumatism. Now, in 1997, the American College of Rheumatology published 11 criteria for diagnosing lupus. And if you had 4 of those, and including a positive ANA, that meant you had lupus. So in 2020, EULAR came to the ACR and said we need to relook and republish these criteria because there has been advances and research done on lupus, so there are new ways we can diagnose lupus. So the two organizations worked together and published a protocol for diagnosing lupus. It is a point system, and the first thing you must have is a positive ANA. So today I am first going to explain to you the 11 criteria, which was the old ones that was published in 1997. Then I am going to explain the new way of diagnosing lupus, which was published in 2020 by the ACR and EULAR working together. So let's get into it. What is the old criteria? If you had 4 or more of these criteria, you were diagnosed with lupus. Molar rash, also known as a butterfly rash across the face, and then discoid rash is the rashes on the skin and can even leave scars. Photosensitivity, that's worsening of your lupus symptoms when you are exposed to ultraviolet light. And then oral ulcers, it's the ulcers in the mouth, and sometimes these ulcers are also in the nose. Arthritis, that's inflammation in the joints and joint aches. Serositis, that's inflammation in the membranes, like for example around the lungs and around the heart, called pleurisy and pericarditis. Renal disorder, lupus nephritis, is when there is inflammation in the kidneys. Neurological disorders, seizures, strokes, dizziness, confusion, brain fog, and psychosis. Hematologic disorders, anemia, which is low red blood cells, leukopenia, which is low white blood cells, lymphopenia, which is low lymphocytes, lymphocytes, which is also low white blood cells, and thrombocytopenia, which is low platelets. Number 10, anti-nuclear antibodies, ANA. Immunological disorders, the anti-DNA, anti-double-stranded DNA, the anti-Smith, and anti-phospholipid antibodies, which are all linked to SLE. This brings us to the new classification system, and it's done according to this document. The entry criteria is a ANA of 1 to 80 or higher. Additive criteria, the criteria must be at least once in your journey. It is equal or higher than 10. It needs not be at the same time, and only the highest criteria in each domain is counted. So if you have a 2 and a 3 and a 4 in one domain, only the 4 is counted. Now we come to the domains and their criteria. And the first domain is the constitutional, which means a set, established set is fever. The next domain is a hematologic domain, which means blood. Leukopenia is low leukocytes, and thrombocytopenia is low thrombocytes. And autoimmune hemolysis means that the antibodies attack your red blood cells, which means a low red blood cell count or anemia. The next domain is the neuropsychiatric domain, which is delirium and psychosis and seizure, where delirium is a disturbed state of mind and psychosis is your mind loses a contact with reality. So the next domain is mucocutaneous, and then you have alopecia, oral ulcers, subacute cutaneous lupus or discoid lupus, skin lupus, and acute cutaneous lupus. Those are the butterfly rashes. So the next domain is the serosal. Pleurisy is when there's inflammation around the cavity around the lungs, and then effusion means there's water, excess water. The pericardium is the membrane around the heart, and pericarditis is inflammation in that pericardium, or pericard effusion means there's water trapped in the pericardium. The next domain is the musculoskeletal, and that is joint involvement. The next domain is the renal domain, which means kidney. So, protein in your urine. A renal biopsy, class 2 or 4 lupus nephritis, or a renal biopsy showing class 3 or 4 lupus nephritis. The next domain is the immunology domain, and it consists of antiphospholipid antibodies and complement proteins. Now, antiphospholipid antibodies is divided into the angiocololipin antibodies. They are antibodies that attack a certain fat in your blood that's required for blood clotting. The next domain of the next one is anti-beta 2 glycoproteins. These antibodies attack the phospholipids that is in the surface of the platelets and is required for blood clotting. The next one is lupus anticoagulant. They attack the cell membranes, components of the cell membranes that play a role in blood clotting. So all three of these play a role in blood clotting. Complement C3 and C4 is a system in the body that comprises more than 30 proteins that play a significant role in the body's immune system. So then all the symptoms are counted. Only the highest number in each domain is counted. Symptoms that you had in the past is also counted. You don't have to have it now. And then if your score is equal or higher to 10, then you are diagnosed with lupus. This concludes this video. Thank you for watching. And please like, follow, and share us on social media. It's Lupus South Africa, Andrea's Gift, Susie Eagles Flight, and AGF Tweens and Teens. Thank you, everybody. Bye.